Hi everyone, welcome to another speed run, and doing a lot of these recently. I will mix it up soon. Press that like and subscribe button for me. Cheers! And I'm gonna take you through how to become a better player. Or I'm just gonna find computer cheats and we get them banned. That's also the other option. It's about 50-50. About 50% of my games I play against a cheat, which we will find out, and they will get banned. The other 50% of the time we actually enjoy a good little speed run. Okay, so what to do against an unconventional opening? Well, first of all, do normal moves. And I want to get castled, I want to get my pieces out. I might want to retain the possibility of playing f5 here, because I want to head to positions that I enjoy playing. And what I mean by that is I enjoy the Dutch and I enjoy playing this move. So the other thing I would always recommend is, you know, if your opponent plays something a little bit strange, still head towards positions which you enjoy playing. And I'm actually going to play this interesting f5 move now, which, if he captures, would resemble a bit of a King's Gambit actually. King's Gambit is a very gambity opening, so we're going to make this game very complicated from an early stage. In most of my games I try to keep things quite simple, so we can just learn without having to do too much, but let's try to keep things simple. And now my opponent has played this move, which I think is certainly, we could say, a first mistake by him. Always best, I feel, to take up the challenge if you can. Play the most critical move. Don't run away from confrontation in chess. You've got to try to refute the confrontation and hit first, if anything. It's a battle. And this move is very passive, and it takes away the square for the knight. So my opponent's king is now a little bit more exposed. Now, I'm going to now try to take over the center, because my opponent's given herself quite a cramped position playing this weird reverse London setup. But I don't like this setup because pieces are very bad, and because I have a space advantage and my opponent's king to me looks more exposed. It's about tempo, and I want to play this position as quickly as I can, so I don't want to move the same piece twice. I want to develop, get all my pieces ready, and punish my opponent for not giving himself a safe king. So here, the most natural move is to develop and pin that knight rather than move my queen. I want to save tempo. Moving the queen was maybe okay, we can still do that, but I want to get my knight out, I want to probably castle, and then I want to try to open things up. This is what I'm thinking at this moment in time. So we're pinning this knight, and my opponent is very cramped, and as well as developing our own pieces, get in the habit of thinking where your opponent is going to move their pieces to, because these two guys over here, I can't see a natural square. So the knight here, the f3 square is taken away, and the bishop here only has this square. So they're very cramped here. Just see my opponent. I was trying to work out that flag. It's quite an interesting flag from Haiti. Reminds me of that Prodigy song. Do 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 do. That's not how you sing it, but yeah. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Leave it in the comments below. Okay, so my opponent has now forced my bishop to capture the knight, but again, I'm not worried about giving up the bishop. Don't worry about that too much at this rating range. When you're like 2200, I mean, until you get to 2400, I wouldn't worry about what's better, bishops or knights. I don't think it's that important. And now, more importantly, it's actually for me to play again with tempo. So my opponent's lost another little move there because I capture with tempo, and now I'm just going to bring my other knight into the game, because if I want a successful attack, I need to get my pieces ready. I can't attack prematurely. This is a common mistake made by a lot of players, premature attaculation. Lots of people suffer from it. It can be a bit debilitating in many walks of life, and you don't want to go down that route, do you? No, you don't. So try not to attack prematurely, and build up your position first. Build up a good rapport before you go for it. Guns are blazing. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. So we're just going to get our king castled. And then we're going to get a rook lined up, maybe. I don't know if I want to... I mean, maybe I'll develop this bishop, but this bishop doesn't seem that key. Let's always think what our opponent's trying to do. Now, this move, again, I don't think really helps him. He's not going to castle that way because he's weakened his king over there, and I might be able to slip in here. Maybe he wants to go c4, but okay. I'll move my queen back then. And I don't think there's anything I can worry about here. So let's get castled, continuing simple development here. And now I've got to think a bit more aggressively. I mean, I could just get this last piece out, but I don't really see the point of putting it there because I feel with his king in the middle, I want to leave that line as open as I can. I mean, it feels like e4 or f4 are the ways I'm going to win this game, the ways I'm going to break open a position. So I'm thinking, well, if I really want to just, you know, take my time, my bishop doesn't look like it does anything there as well, but I'm thinking about fianchettoing because if I put it here, that bishop has long-term better potential over the center. I'm really well developed then, and I can also just bring my rook right into the middle, and that'd be such an idyllic way to build my pieces up here. So this is a nice way of doing it. But if my opponent's going to continue to play very slowly, then I'm not going to even bother calculating these moves too deeply. I'm just going to build up my position as much as I can first. It's only when I either see a really obvious good move that I'm going to do something. Okay, so now my opponent is sort of threatening to castle. He wants to move his bishop and he wants to castle. And I'm like, okay, I don't really want to allow that, do I? So one obvious thing is to look at your opponent's last move, see if it's on a weakened square. And I'm actually now thinking f4 and taking here becomes much more attractive because he has to take with a pawn. And then I might be able to come in and take that one. And it'll be a simple pawn advantage. So this is a way I can win a pawn and come here. So that's probably a very good idea, looking at my opponent's last piece. This move might be a little bit slow now because I don't want my opponent to castle free of charge. And e4, well, he will always take that way and get the queens off, and I don't want to do that. So it probably makes the most sense just to win the pawn here. And sometimes you have to cash in your advantages that you have. So I'm just going to move this one with the idea of taking this knight. I mean, I don't want, one thing I don't want to do is allow that knight to come here when I probably not Bella anymore because I have created an outpost here. But outposts are really only dangerous if your opponent gets a knight there. So let's eliminate that one and continue by doing this. Now this move, he moves his rook here. And funnily enough, he might get a bit of, you know, now I look at it a bit more, he might actually get some compensation because the bishop's going to come here and my queen has to come over here. And I mean, do we still play it? I think we do. You gotta, you know, again, it's what I said earlier. We got to be brave, right? I mean, and you got to play the most critical moves. And if I didn't do that, I'm going against my word. Okay, so this move here, my queen can always come to h5. It looks safe. So I want to improve my pieces. If he goes here, I think I will probably take another pawn. And this move seems to improve my pieces because it lines up my rook against his queen. I get ready for the knight coming in here, a pawn coming in here. My queen only has one square, so I'll move it away straight away. And yes, his bishop has got a good diagonal, but I can close it down very quickly with f3, and I have e4 as well coming. So these two moves still give me what I would consider a very pleasant position here, right? And I like this move, getting his bishop down. He can't castle queenside because I'm cutting him off. If he swaps queens, maybe that's his best idea, relying on his bishops for later on in the game. But this is also quite tempting. He's coming out to get some counterplay here. But now I really want to shut this bishop down. So let's do that. I have to be a little bit careful about the rook coming here. But I'm going to go here, and I now might better use ideas with this one. I don't want this rook and his bishop combining. And now this one looks Very tempting. I'm just a bit, you know, we've got to watch out for our opponent's active moves. So something like e4 could be interesting. But this rook coming here looks a little bit scary. So I could, I think this is good, right? But then queen e3, it's still not as clear as I would have hoped for, because I can't break through. And then if I take here, he can take here. But the advantage of that is I want to get, you need to create squares for knights and bishops as well. But you need to, you know, knights can get covered very easily by your opponent's pawns. They become a bit useless. So by taking this pawn, it's not really to win a pawn. It's more to get this square for my other knight. So that's the real reason behind taking on c3. Let's say he moves his queen here, I take, he takes, my other knight can come firing into the center, and knights work very well in the middle of the board. So he's given up his queen here. Okay, well, I have to take his queen, and I don't think that was a very good idea from my opponent, because, well, queens are pretty damn good, aren't they? And I'm going to give him a check now, just to see what he's going to do. And I've just got to nullify his rooks and his bishops, and this should be now quite. I was going to say easy, but you should never count your wins before they hatch. Okay, so his king is coming over here. Now I was thinking I could cause more trouble by bringing my queen in, which I think I might do. And the advantage of this is by putting his king here, I also make his rook worse, because his rook becomes shut down. So I expect my opponent's trying to get a bishop to this square. My king can always go in the corner. It's not that scary. But if I want to be really clever and try to keep his bishop shut down, maybe I can move my knight over here, right? Because by moving my knight here, his rooks, I'm scanning the board, make sure I'm not falling for anything. I stop his bishop getting to this one good diagonal. So this is a containing idea. This rook is not good. This bishop can't go to its square. So I've just got to watch out. This rook only has one file, and this bishop can't increase the pressure there. So I kind of scanned his pieces, and I've made sure that they're not dangerous. And I've played this preemptive move. Another advantage is maybe my queen can come around here and support something coming in. I was also tempted to use the d2 square there, but I just didn't want to allow his bishop to find this diagonal, because why allow your opponent to put their pieces on better squares? You know, chess is about giving and taking. Okay, now he has blundered, or has he? I've noticed there's a check here and take there, but then he has bishop check and he can take my queen. Very crafty move. Let's give him a check anyway, because my queen has done its job on that side of the board, and I might better hop in and attack these two pawns. So his last move was very, very cheeky, and the point being, I take here, he goes check, I take, and he takes my queen, and I'm probably still doing it right there, but why allow it? And the other thing I was thinking of now was to just get the queen on a better position in the center of the board, supporting my knight coming here and defending my pawn. So this, I'm not falling for that queen takes rook trick, and I don't want to allow this bishop into the game. He might put his king on a better square, and then I might even play a move like a6. Why? Because I'm suddenly playing against my opponent's pieces. So I'm stopping his rook activating, I'm stopping his bishop coming to a square. So if we think where my opponent can move now, this bishop's not really doing anything. This rook is blocked in. This rook can't go anywhere, and I'm just improving my position. I'm going to do that now by trying to squeeze his bishop even further, because I want to play c4 and make it go away from that square. And if he plays a logical move to attack my pawn, and again I'm constantly thinking about how he can get active here, and I'm stopping him doing that. If he plays an active move, I will win his bishop. So rather than trying to find a way to outright win here, I'm trying a different technique, which I recommend you should all try if you really want to get through this level and get to the next stage, is stop your opponent's ideas. It's a great way to play. Okay, so now I could go here takes c4, and you've got to sometimes calculate here takes, rook takes, and then I have a check, king here. I don't see a follow-up there yet. Knight takes here allows his pieces to come in, and we're trying to suffocate them, so let's not do that. He wants to come here and here, and there's many ways I could play. I feel like, you know, at some point you have to go a little bit aggressive. I could try to get my queen to this square. Does that help? Maybe, because then I can take there. I like that. Okay, yeah, my queen's done its job, so I'm going to try to activate it and just take that pawn on the way. That looks like a way I can do things without committing too much. Trying to get my queen into a better square. His bishops are both very bad because they're not doing anything. His rook's not doing much. His only idea is to come and take my pawn, but my idea seems stronger. So to credit to my opponent, he's spotted my idea, he stopped it. But now I'm going to combine this with another idea that I had, and the other idea was this move. And what I've actually done here, I've actually transferred my queen into a much better diagonal, and if my opponent takes here, I can then push the pawn and threaten queen takes pawn checkmate. So this is kind of a dual purpose moves, and often in chess, you know, if you find a good move, great, but if you find a good move that has sort of hidden ideas, obviously even better. Okay, so let's take that one. His rook still can't come into any of these squares because I'm covering them. I don't want to allow his rook to get active, but all of those squares are covered by a pawn or a piece. This way I'm not scared about. I mean, I don't think there's a threat. I can take there, but I can also just go g6 to block. If he moves his bishop back, his rook will never be able to activate there. And his only other idea I can see is moving the rook here and then taking the pawn. But that is the only active idea my opponent has. So what are we going to do? Well, I could use this pawn to try to attack, to open up the queen. And that maybe looks... Maybe I should go a bit more offensive now, because this bishop not threatening, none of these pieces doing anything. Let's go here and try to unleash my queen through. And the other thing is that maybe there's always some back rank ideas with this move. It creates more checkmate threats around his king, but c4 is the main possibility, when maybe he can go rook b4, but then I can check and I infiltrate into the position. So and this move, well, we've done it once, we're going to do it twice. We use our other pawn now, and this is game over now, because he's going to lose a piece or get checkmated here. And we managed to keep control of that very nicely. Again, please do like this video and subscribe. I'm going to come up with new content very soon. Am I jumping the gun? Again, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but it'd be rather embarrassing if I didn't win this position. And he's going for it, but I don't think this is even a threat. But let's just stop him doing that, because why allow him to have even a glimmer of fun? You know, you've got to be a little bit sadistic when you play chess. Stop him having even a check. Okay, now, lots of ways to win here, but I'm going to now bring my queen in to the light squares and threaten to push and queen. And the combination of my queen, knight, rook and pawn attacking the king must be checkmate. His pieces are stuck on the other side of the board, and we could just bring them in with some big checks and a big checkmate there. Boo laka shah, as Ali G would say. So again, some thematic things there. My opponent didn't have the best of games. He didn't take me up on the challenge. He played a bit too passively there. We played very logical, I think. We developed, and we just kept our eyes open. We didn't rush the attack, but as soon as we saw a possibility, we took it. And then when we got the big advantage, we were always thinking about his pieces, because his pawns are non-threatening, and we're thinking how we can close them down whilst improving our pieces. So it was quite a, I suppose, skilled way of converting the win. And this is the kind of way you need to think if you want to get to the 2200 range, you must stop only thinking about your own moves, and you must start thinking about closing your opponent's moves down. Judge.